not so negative of an exercise. 15 minutes, because that'll be about how long you last. Fun stuff, really technical stuff, and like transitions between skills and things, so just a shitload of strength. Yo, what's going on, guys? Rhys here from Modern Lifting with the Modern Lifting Podcast. Conversations about calisthenics, bodyweight training, gymnastics, all that good stuff. I'm Rhys, a personal trainer from the UK and founder of modernlifting.com, and in this episode we're going to be talking about starting a skill cycle, what the skill cycle looks like, what I'm working on, and how I'm going to really use different training methods to advance me towards my goals. If you guys have been keeping up with the previous episodes of the podcast, then you know that I'm working towards these planche push-ups and these 90-degree push-ups for the end of the year. And so now I've just worked through my strength cycle, I've had my deload, it's time to work on the skills. So a skill cycle looks quite a bit different to a strength cycle because so a strength cycle and a skill cycle, they look kind of different because of purely based on exercises alone. Like the kind of work you're doing is just different. With your skills, it tends to be more like skill stuff, like levers, like supportive exercises like German hangs and like inverted hangs and very like complex movements and stuff. So when I do things like dips, it's going to be like Russian dips or Bulgarian dips on the rings or something like that, rather than just standard. Like it would be very technical variations and complex variations. All right, and that's just because it's totally different to the basic movement pattern standard kind of way of training, which is what the strength cycle is. You know, your basic dynamic movements, your just basic pull-ups, shapes, like basic kind of dip styles or muscle-ups or something like that. I mean, I'm not really focusing on any of those a minute purely because of the skills I'm working on, but you know what I'm saying. So that's like your dynamic movements. This is more like complex movements. It's like simple stuff in the strength cycle, more technical, more complex stuff in the skill cycle. So this is the time basically where I just work on sorting those planche push-ups out, sorting those 90-degree push-ups out, and really like drilling them when you can't just, because of how complicated like skills like that are, you can't just do the progressions. You know, like we've spoken about in previous episodes, you can't just rely on purely progression exercises. You've got to do other stuff as well that'll help you get towards that goal. So things that will either build like the same or similar kind of lever strength in your shoulders. So it's like push stuff for the planche. Obviously, like a front lever would be more like a pull, because like a pull lever where you're levering into your body. So they're kind of like opposing skills, if you like. Well, at least, yeah, they kind of are. So yeah, so basically what's happening in this skill cycle particularly, I'm really going to focus on getting like clinical with skills, all right, because it's easy to try and rush progressions and like lose all the form and like kind of compensate, and it just ends up looking a total mess. And I don't want to waste time doing that, basically, like going off track by doing stuff badly. So instead, what I'm going to do is just go back to the basics, like work the progressions step by step. And for the isometrics, I'm basically aiming for 30-second holds. Now, this might seem like quite a lot. It kind of is, really, but for like allowing myself to progress at the end of each week, I'm basically going to be trying to prove like my 30-second hold for that skill. So working on my planche stuff, like working on getting a full planche, that obviously looks like a 30-second single leg, a 30-second straddle, and a 30-second full. And the transition between them can take a lot of time. So, but because I've already achieved these skills, I'm hoping I can just zip, nip through them nice and quick. But I mean, I've never owned a full planche for 30 seconds, and that is beastly. So that's what, anyway, because of its planche push-ups, I'm working towards not even like an isometric planche, like just a standard hold. And working dynamic variations as well. So for that kind of thing, it looks like the planche progressions, but as push-ups instead of holds. So that's going to be like advanced tuck planche push-ups, then like maybe like half lay or like a single leg. The thing is with it, I won't be able to do a half lay. The thing about the different levers is a half lay fits in different points of the progression. Yeah, so some skills you might be able to do like a half lay earlier, then you'll be able to do a straddle, and other skills it's the other way around. And it really varies person to person. Like most people think, oh yeah, straddle first, then half lay, and I can agree with that, but I mean, it really varies person to person. So I'm not really, the half lay and the straddle really just as and when they kind of come up, depending on what skill it is. But yeah, so then handstands. So 90-degree push-up is a handstand to an elbow lever and back up. All right, so that means handstand push-ups, handstand to like crow stands, handstand to elbow lever negatives, and then like crow stand concentrics, like the actual full push. All right, and the negatives are really important because that'll help you get really good form coming in, and slowing it down means that you're basically, because an eccentric and a concentric, the kind of negative and like the not so negative of an exercise, the actual strength and like they're different, they are different. All right, negatives are great for building the strength to be able to go the other way, but going the other way is actually like, especially with something as advanced as like a 90-degree push-up, there's so many things going on from like balance and stuff. When you're coming down, you can almost just strengthen, let gravity take you into the position, but going back up again, you're actually, you have to change your position physically yourself to get your feet back over your head and your shoulders. So training it for the actual concentric is going to be a bit difficult, but I've never really done them before, so it's a bit of a challenge. I guess I'm just going to be clinical about it. Like, you follow the steps, like I always say, it's very simple. It's just a more scary skill. It's a more like crazy skill than something I've done before. Like, I've never done 90-degree push-ups. It's going to be a serious challenge. But so anyway, going off topic, handstands and crow stand transitions, they're going to be really good for it, I think. And lots of press skills, lots of handstand push-up skills, and the more the merrier. That's the dynamic stuff. Then we've got like supported exercises. So I kind of mentioned this already, but it's going to be like advanced push-up variations that will kind of work towards them, like ring stuff, like pseudo planche stuff. Obviously, as I go down the workout, it'll go from the isometrics, it'll go to the dynamic stuff, and then it'll go to these kind of supportive stuff. And this is also like German hangs, as I've already mentioned, inverted hangs, transitions and like dynamic variations of like back levers, because they're really good for teaching you to like hold your legs out behind you while your core and your shoulders are like kind of up to something else. They're busy. So that's a good way to train that position and really like build that neural connection, the neuromuscular connection. So the activation of the muscles is not as good as it can be in my legs for really owning the planche, basically. So this would be like maybe some like flutter kicks, back lever like flutter kicks, or like straddle transitions, like straddle to straight, or whatever, like really like German hang, like levering up, or inverted hang, levering down and going back to the front lever. I think the front lever, because I'm doing so much push stuff, I need to balance it out, obviously. It's something to think about as well. So doing front lever stuff's like just perfect for that, and maybe a couple of different pull-up variations or whatever. It's really important to balance stuff when you work in your program. Like, my goals aren't the front lever stuff. I can do a front lever. They're not pull-up stuff. I can do pull-ups. I just do more advanced variations of things like typewriters or arches as and when I can. And at home, when I'm on my little pull-up bar, I'll just do more basic ones like wide neutral grip chins or whatever, really. Like even front lever pulls, different progressions of them. Actually, that's not a bad idea. So zipping back to the dynamic variations, right? The reason I'm starting with those push-ups with the advanced tuck is kind of because I'm in that position anyway, but also because if I'm just in the tuck, then my back isn't, and my kind of hips aren't really in the right position for a planche. So if I go and add to that advanced tuck, first it pushes the limits of that, but also I'm in the right position, my shoulders to my hips. So then what I'm working on as I get stronger is not that position, but just my legs. Yeah, so the focus is just on sorting those legs out rather than where my hip and my shoulders are, and sorting my back out. And progressing from a tuck to an advanced tuck is a lot of work a lot of the time. So I don't want to get stuck in bad habits with like a tuck planche push-up or whatever. I just need to go straight over to the advanced tuck. All right, so what else then? So yeah, complex exercises then. So I mentioned this earlier as well. This is really like fun stuff, really technical stuff, and like transitions between skills and things. So a lot of this matters anyway, because that's what the 90-degree push-up is, and I'm going to be doing stuff with like the crow stand as a progression to that as well, between that and the handstand. So that's kind of covered in a way. But when it comes to things like dips, like the Bulgarian dips, like I said, on the rings, they're really good, just like because they're crazy as hell. You should definitely, basically with the Bulgarian dips, you start with your open hand, and then you turn your shoulders out and take down to like 90 with your elbows. So you kind of go into this kind of wide dip grip, you know what I mean, where you do like your single bar dips or your horizontal dips, depending on what you call them. If you have your hand grip wide and you come down, your kind of elbows go to about 90. Like you're doing that on the rings, so it's oh mate, they're really good. You should definitely do some of them. So more technical stuff as well. So it would be like I said, these front lever pulls are a really good one to do, really easy, kind of complex or technical variation. Then you got like L-sit pulls, like your bank lever, flutter kicks. You can do floor stuff like it as well. So you can do like crow stand switches to like a hopper crow, which is like you switch your knee, so your left knee, instead of being on your left elbow, it switches over and goes to your right elbow, and that's really good for like hip mobility, active mobility in your hips and stuff, and that builds just a shitload of strength. So definitely worth doing things like that. Guys, really, that's about it. Skill cycle, loads of exercises, very difficult stuff, very complicated stuff. Oh yeah, so in the skill cycle, I should actually talk about this. The reps are different, yeah. So in this particular skill cycle, I'm doing my reps different. Instead of doing like 3/8s or 3/10s or like in that kind of range, I'll shorten it down to 5s. So I'm gonna do like 5 sets of 5s instead, or 3 sets of 5 for dynamics. For the isometrics, it'll be 5 sets of 5s, and I'll try and do them for probably try and do like 5-second negatives as well, like 5 to 8 seconds, like really just hold it out as long as I can with the those negative that handstand to elbow lever transition, because I really want to just work on that. That's the most important thing. So lower reps, maybe a couple more sets. Also, I'll stretch it out as well, that I have much more rest, like a couple of minutes rest at a time, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, because it is pushing the boundaries of so much. It's really important that you let your body recover a little bit while you're training, instead of just trying to smash it out as fast as you can. Like focus on recovering and actually having good technique and form, because that's more important than it is than just training fast. All right, skills are different. There's a lot more muscle activation going on. There's a lot more energy being expended in each go, and you need to take the time to actually build some more energy back in those muscles, because otherwise your form will just go out the window. You get really exhausted really fast, and you'd just be a total waste of 15 minutes, because that'll be about how long you last. All right, guys, that is it. All right, so skill cycles obviously really fun, like working on the fun stuff. I'm literally going to go and do some training now. So I've been a bit ill. Well, not ill, but you know, when like the transition, when it gets cold and like you're just a bit, like I've been sleeping well and stuff. So I haven't been training. I'm literally just kicking it off tonight. I'm actually a day late because I just wasn't in a state yesterday really to do much training. But I was still doing some stretches and stuff while the deload was going on. It's just been an extra day or two. Oh no, I've just been itching. But you know, when you just want to get back into training after you've like forced yourself to have a break, and then anyway, it's not really a big issue. I just go do some training now. So right guys, that is it for this episode. If you like what you heard, as always, give us a like, subscribe, share us with your mates, training partners, and honest 5-star rating and reviews, wink wink, always appreciated. And if you've got any questions or comments, just reach out to me. Apple and Lifting everywhere. Best place is just a DM on Instagram. And otherwise, have a good one, and I will catch you in the next one. Keep in touch with yourselves, and I'll speak to you then.